I'm curious to hear if the toughest job interview you've ever had.
Job interview.
Have you ever had any? I asked Shane Beamer this question, and he, at South Carolina, he gave us good stories. I'm sure you had some when you're interviewing for those C jobs, or even early in your career. Anyone put you on the whiteboard and just absolutely grill you?
Well, I wouldn't say the toughest, but the longest was the one with Coach Franklin.
Really?
So it was at the National Football Foundation dinner. And the plan was that we were going to get there early, do the interview, have the dinner, and then go. Mm-hmm. His plane was delayed. We go through the dinner, and then we go up to his room in a Waldorf, and he's got the whiteboard set up. I've got my computer. We hook it up to the TV, and I want to say like 10:30 we get started.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you look up, it's 3 a.m. I mean, we had been going at it for 4.5 hours, had me on the board, going through all the Fordham cut-ups, a million questions. And, the one thing I remember he talked about is like some of the offensive coordinators got on the whiteboard and he asked them to draw up the favorite run play, and they couldn't draw up the blocking scheme. So that's one of the things of which I take a lot of pride that, you got to know everything. You can't just be a quarterback guy and not know how to block up the run or not know how to draw the protection. And it ended, or it was about to end, and I said, Coach, I'll keep going. It does. I'll get that. And I don't want to say he tapped out, but And now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get back from New York City to Greenwich, where I lived. Cabs weren't running, the subways were down, so I actually had to hail a gypsy cab. And the guy was like, "Yeah, I'll take you to Greenwich for $150." So I had to go into Chase Bank in New York, draw out $150, and the guy drove me back, and he was going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I'm getting car sick. I'm like, I sure as hell hope I get this job because this is 3 a.m. ripping up the BQE. It was hilarious.
That's good. Getting that Penn State job was kind of a big break you got in your career. What was the moment when you found out you got the job?
Man, the moment I found out the interview was going to happen, we had just lost to UT Chattanooga in the playoffs. And I actually was driving down to Atlanta from there, I think to interview for the UCF job, if I'm not mistaken. And my family and I I'm trying to get this time right. We get to the hotel in Atlanta because the interview's the next day. Yeah. And we're walking through the lobby, and this is a true story. And I turn my head and see the Penn State Michigan State game was on, and see that offensive lineman, run the touchdown at the end of that game. And I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. And then that interview happens, and I hope I have the timing of that right from who I was interviewing with. And the plane lands, and I have a voicemail from Terry, from Coach Smith.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, just checking in, haven't talked to you in a while. Give me a holler when you get a chance." And then my wife turns to me because she had turned her phone on. She's like, "Hey, did you see Penn State's offensive coordinator got let go?" I'm like, kind of odd. And eventually, I got hooked up with Coach Franklin, and it happened. But, I really can't remember exactly when he called and offered it. And, before he could finish the sentence, I probably said yes. Yeah. But it was just something that it was it was just, you look back on it in hindsight and just, what an opportunity.
Yeah.